Hello, welcome to Jennifer's Magical Book Club. Today I am here to read a novel which is called Paperboy. I'm going to continue from chapter 8, page 94. So I'm gonna start. Ma'am wasn't at home to fix my lunch because she had called to tell my mother that she needed a little more time off. I couldn't remember the last time Ma'am had been gone more than one night. Something didn't feel right that she would be away for so long without me knowing where she was. My father's book screeched into the driveway about the time I swallowed my last piece of glass. He motioned for me to jump in. "I'm sorry about lunch, son. The meeting was important." I nodded. "I wanted you to have a nice lunch of your choosing. I know the dinner the other nights wasn't much fun." I nodded again. I thought about saying that eating glass wasn't too much fun either. "Your mom and I are proud of you for taking on Earth's paper routes. It shows how responsible you're becoming." I nodded and then thought my father deserved more than a nod for what he had said. "Thanks." When the movie was about half over, I whispered to my father that Shane was going to ride into town and take care of the bad guys so that the mother and father and their boy could be safe on their farm, even though Shane was in love with the boy's mother. I don't stutter as much when I whisper, so I was able to say all that without much trouble. My father slapped on me on the knee and whispered back, "How'd you know that?" I smiled at my father. Sometimes I could see endings to movies in my head, like the beardy old man in Cold Water could see what was going to happen to Ma'am's brother. When the lights in the theater came on, my father said we had to hurry so I could start my route on time. I didn't say much when we got in the car because I was working on a question. It took a lot of planning ahead on the words. "Do you think the boy looked more like his father or like Shane?" "I guess his father." "Why?" "Do boys always look like their fathers?" "More often than not, but it's not always a given." I was looking out the windshield, but I felt my father glance over at me when he said it wasn't a given. I thought about asking him if Shane could have been the boy's father because it was plain that Shane had an eye for the mother, but then I started getting confused about what was in the movie and what was in the story in my head. We got to the drop about the same time as the newspaper truck. Made it right on time. Don't forget your bags in the back. I enjoyed the movie. Me too. Thank you for taking off work. Next time we eat out, it will be at Brittling's, I promise. My father pulled his car out on Bellevue and headed back downtown toward his office. I folded my papers in Word record time. Once I got the movie out of my head and the kid yelling, "Shane, Shane, come back, Shane." I think that kid was lonesome like me, but he was only in the movies and I was leaving my real stuttering life. I noticed Big Sack sitting in his truck parked across the street and watching me. It was the second time during the week I had seen him just sitting like which didn't seem right because he was usually mowing lawns or cleaning out flower beds. T hadn't been around all week, but I spotted him a ways down the alley when I was lifting the bags off the fence onto my shoulders. The way he was sneaking looks at me made me wonder if Ma'am had gotten my knife back from him. One thing was for sure. Arati was going through the garbage cans a new way. He would pull stuff out of the can and throw it anywhere. His neat way of collecting junk was gone. I almost ran for the first part of my route. I was breathing hard by the time I got to Mr. Sparrow's house. It wasn't time to collect, but I had something special to talk to him about. I had worked on a list of questions for Mr. Sparrow all week in my room. I didn't want to forget anything important, so I had typed the 3 questions on a clean piece of notebook paper. Why do most grown-ups treat me like I'm not a real human being? When does a kid become a grown-up? What can I do to be smart like you? That wasn't everything I wanted to talk about, but that was all I could get out of my head and down on paper. I didn't want to be out of breath if we had our talk, so I sat down on the curb across the street and refolded some papers that weren't as tight as Dick's headband. I asked my mother once who Dick was, and she was when she talked about his headband, but she would never tell me. I noticed an old bicycle leaning against the side of Mr. Sparrow's house. It had a basket on the front handlebar and a flat piece of wood on the back behind the seat. The handlebars and the spokes on the wheels were rusted, but the chain looked like it was in good shape. About the time my refolding was done, Mr. Sparrow came out of his door and with the book under his arm and holding a thick white coffee mug that was steaming. I didn't see how anybody could be drinking hot coffee in the middle of the hottest part of Memphis day, but it seemed to suit Mr. Sparrow. He waved me over when he saw me on the curb. What news do you bring me today, messenger? Okay, so this is the end of page 97. I'm going to continue back from page 98 next time. So, thank you for following with me, and I hope you're joining this story. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.